not have been in this forum. And so maintaining our health becomes an extremely important component of daily living.
Let me throw this in because, and I'm sure some of you have said it almost in a braggadocious manner, I'll sleep when I die. You know, it's even in a rap song, I think, 50 Cent it is, I'll sleep when I die. Yani weni mwanaume unafanya kazi utahitaji tu 4 hours ama 3 hours ya kulala alafu rudi hustle. Yes, there's some people who work with very tight hours. Sisemi Joe Mfalme, lakini tumeona schedule yako. Grace to you, brother. But even something that comes off as a joke but can drive you to the hospital bed and, God forbid, the grave. What can you say to that, especially?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there is a lot of research now coming in that shows that people who, sleep less than 7 hours actually have worse health outcomes eventually than people who sleep between 7 and 9 hours. The same can be said for people who sleep, a lot, who sleep in more than 9 hours.
Ebu tulize wanaume. Is it possible for you to sleep for 7 hours straight, vizuri, bila kusumbuliwa? Who here does? Who here manages 7 hours? Yes, 1, 2, 3, 4. Z. This is Hype God. Z. We are lali 7 hours. There's that reality.
Yeah.
Balance. The life demands.
I totally understand. And now there's football. And so, we have to watch football. We have to sleep at 12. I totally understand. But I think at the end of the day, it's about balancing out. And I think my main message to all the guys here is that prioritize your health. Prioritize your health. That's extremely key. Myself and Dr. Mungai here, we usually have an appointment once a year where, we sort of take care of him. And I think that's the same message, for all of us, that it's important that we take our health seriously. Some of these diseases will not appear, they'll take very long to appear. And when they appear, they've gone too much. Some of them do not have symptoms. And, you can go for years without getting symptoms. Things like diabetes, high blood pressure, will not give you any symptoms for a long time. Unless you look for them, you will not, get to know. Yet they are damaging your organs. So it's extremely key to prioritize health.
And there's two gentlemen who want to interject on this point. And I want to bring it in here as well as a comment that I had from my colleague. I was asking him how much he spends qua gym. And it's about 10 to 15K a month. I was like, that's a lot. But he said, if you're not willing to spend to take care of your body, however much money you're making, you'll not be around long enough to enjoy it. Mzee mwingine atakuja, ataichukulia na ataenjoy. And I actually thought to myself, hang on, if you do the math, people probably spend on a weekend. And in a month, it's upwards of 20K. Kamnyweso tu. Nothing wrong about that. Balance. But if you're not willing to even spend that money to invest in your body, where are your priorities? Are you really wanting to be around there for your family and your people? Dr. Peter and Dr. Mungai wanted to speak.
I know Dr. Mungai may add to this. I never saw a urologist all my life until this year when I had a problem. Hello. Let me just ask, by way of showing hands, how many of you have gone to see a urologist in your life as men?
Tunezaanza huyu anafanyaga nini?
Urologist ni nani?
Nimesikia Joe akiuliza, Joe Mfalme.
And that's my point, guys. But you ask any woman your age, if they've gone to see a gynecologist, and they'll quickly answer. Listen, that gadget is not just for bedroom. Hallelujah. Amen. I knew I'd get silence in this place. When we say take care of your health, one of the things, and Dr. Musheru and Dr. Mungai will tell you more, but I'm not a medical doctor, but I do want to say this that's important. Go and see those guys. It'll help you. And don't wait. I'm 53, and that's when I realized that I had a problem. They began to say, oh, by the way, you have an enlarged prostate. It's not too bad, but let's manage it now. Because many of us are going to then now disturb us with M-Pesa requests saying that, hey, Maze, so-and-so is sick because we didn't listen on the day that Dr. Musheru was talking and said, by the way, go get checked once a year. When you get to 39, 40, go get checked once a year. Get your prostate checked. Get the gadget fixed before it fixes you. That's what I wanted to say.
Dr. Mungai.
You know, they say that health is the crown that only the sick people will see, worn by us who are healthy. And it's true, what Dr. Musheru is saying here, that
say it again.
Health is the crown that only the sick people will see on the healthy people. Now, when Dr. Musheru stands here and says that we need to get checkups, I tell you it's very difficult, the first one. And guess what? You don't even probably need to pay for it. Because many of you are in insurance covers that already have factored in that. You just need to show up and get that medical test done on you. Let me just give an example. I'm going to share, you know, a little story between me and Dr. Musheru here. And it's a good thing that he was here. 3-4 years ago, I went seeing him. My cholesterol is very low. And even, you know, people are saying, well, this is fantastic. But this one time, I went and he realized that it just increased a little bit. And then we started a conversation. What have you done? You know, so that this hadn't gotten to this level. And guess what? I had changed my lifestyle a little bit. And what was it? To take oatmeal, not with water, but with milk. And I had done this consistently for 8 months. And just by looking at the numbers, and by the way, they are not scary numbers. It was extremely low, but now getting to tip. And he said, we need to figure out what it is. Now imagine, 5 years I didn't do that, and today, what would that cholesterol mean? Friends, it's a simple task. I know it's very difficult the first time. To give you an example, this medical test, for like 5 years, I was trying to tell my wife we go. And she refused. But the first time she agreed, which is another 5 years ago, he said, man, this is the best thing you have done to me. So how I wish that when it comes to January, you will say, this is the best thing, Edward, you did to me. Thank you.
Dr. Musheru, you can conclude on your part just so you can take your seat and continue the conversation. I'd like Antonio Sol to be attentive to those who would have a question, because I want to throw it to the audience. Direct question to the gentleman here. I know Dr. Musheru had some financially directed contributions to make, and in terms of planning for the future. Omanyala wanted to challenge each and every one of us in terms of going where uncharted waters. And Pastor Simon and Dr. Odera had the mission to come and redefine manhood as we know it. And Burale was also here to talk about not leaving any man behind. And I know Nameless also wants us to open up to being vulnerable. Don't always act like you're in control if you're not. So I'd like umeshakaa chini bwana. Ilikuwa tu nikaa conclusion ya hawa say kuambia tafadhali muulize maswali. Yes, I see one hand over there, Antonio Sol. I see another. Take notes of that so that they can ask the questions directly, and you'll tell me who it is. Just conclude.
Yeah, so my conclusion, once again, I cannot overemphasize the fact that it's important to prioritize our healthcare, get wellness checkups. Some of these things you'll not know them unless you look for them. And when you know them, you find that you're able to change your lifestyle, just like Dr. Mungai gave the example, and you're able to live longer. So mapema and your best. That's a mantra. Thank you.
Ashasema. Gentlemen, Omanyala, kwanza wewe unajua unakuaga track sana, but can you emphasize for yourself? I know it's almost a requirement to do those checkups and make sure like your health is, you know, tops kabisa. But the importance for say nothing intimidating like kuvaa shati imekushikilia hivyo, but you know the importance for you, what it does.
It's an option. Yeah, you see, for athletes, we put our bodies in line, and our bodies are our offices. So for us, it's like a must. You have to make sure your body's in check, your nutrition is in check, your muscles are moving freely, because you have to attend the physiotherapy sessions 2 or 3 times a week. You have to go to check for checkups 2 or 3 times a month to make sure your the hemoglobin level is at where it's supposed to be. So for us, it's like food. Going to hospital, going for checkups is a normal thing for us, because these are offices.
And gentlemen, as he says that these are our offices, it's because he makes his bread from his body directly and the performance of his body. But let's be honest, you do too. If you're not sound, whether it is mentally, physically, whatever hustle you call, you won't be able to do it. Your body is also your office. And we see the importance of it. Anto,
Cool.
just say your name and question.
So as we do that, let me also challenge all of us. When Dr. Martin Luther King died, when he was shot at 39 years old, when an autopsy was done by a coroner, his heart was found to be a heart of a 60-year-old. So if you're asking why, just go check out later. You guys will find out. And let's start with you.
So good evening, everyone. My name is Victor. Allow me to say this, Mark. I run an initiative that is called Check on a Man. I'm a former street boy. The person who made me to be born again is Burale. I lost my parents when I was young. I ended up being hosted by an uncle who dragged me and raped me. So far, I've been privileged to school for street kids. I feed street families twice a week, Thursdays at Jivanji from 8 to 10 p.m. and Saturdays from 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. at Nation Center, Poinje. Before I ask my question, ningependa kusema hivi. As men, the initiative of mental health that I'm running, I'd want us to guide each other to God. Respect the choice of faith that someone has. Either Muslim, Christians, all of us, we communicate to God through prayer. Number 2, learn to love yourself as a man. Nobody will love you if you don't love yourself. Yep. And you attract who you are. Number 3, as men, let us be faithful. Kama unapenda wasichana wa shule, nunulia bibi yako school uniform.
Sema yo tena, bro.
Yeah. If you love school going girls, just buy your wife school uniform. Ukiona Betty Chalo amevaa fiti, nunulia girlfriend yako the same clothes. Number 4, I'd want you as a father. That is why I did Man Enough when I was still in the street. Thank you, Simon Baby. I became who I am because of Man Enough. Number 4, ningependa as a father, I'm a dad of 2 and I'm a guardian of 4 kids. So far, kijana wa kwanza nilichukua, graduate this week with actuarial science from the street. Yep. Ningependa kusema hivi. Have time for your individual child. Let us stop bringing up happy children. The happiness is really important. But let us bring up responsible kids. Kids who can confide in us as parents. And that's where we are failing. Yep. Number 5, I'd want you to have time for your collective children. Learn to sit down and talk to your kids. Some of you here, mmekuja hapa, but your house help is the one that bringing your children. And God forbid if that house help came from a bad spiritual background. Kindly let your kids confide in you as a father. Let them tell you some of the nitty-gritties. Me as Victor, if I had someone to talk to when I was being raped by my uncle, yep, ningekuwa nimeheal. But imagine I battled depression for 15 years, 6 times suicide attempt. Eda kwa YouTube andika jina yangu. I was hosted in Grace Msalame shows. The last one ningependa kusema hivi. Have time for your family. Tonight before you sleep, tafadhali, check on your grandfather, check on your dad. These old folks, most of them are not dying because of age factor. It's because of loneliness. Is what is killing these old folks. Ningependa ask your dad this simple question. Dad, how was your day? After that, ask him, Dad, how is life? If you ask any man how life is, they have a tendency of sharing what they're going through indirectly. Maze kulia imanishiweni mwanamke. Kulia imanishiweni mwanamke. You know. And after that, kama unapenda kunisupport what I do, niko na socks hapa. If you take a pair of socks for 200, that's a plate of food. But ningependa kuuliza hii question. Kwa nyinyi wenye, especially the men of God. Tunakimbilianga mapasi tukiona issues. But when they have their own issues, they have no one to run to. When will we check on the men in the cloth? Because wakifanya kitu, tunawachekelea. Secondly, what can we do as a nation to stop faking life? Kuvaa suti, imanishi uko fiti. But when will we learn? When will we learn to protect men and telling them, Maze, John, kuja, ongea, lia, chukua tissue, lia, sema vitu zote, and become who you are. Let me tell you something before I sit. Nameless once gave me 300 shillings. The job of raising funds, hizi socks nimebeba. It is Antonio Sol one gave me 1,000 shillings kwa jam. Na huyo jamaa ameka pale Nameless. I started raising funds to feed street families through the money of Antonio Sol and Nameless. But do you know my healing? My healing came from Robert Burale and Simon Bevy. I did Man Enough, and it is Robert Burale who guided me to receive Christ. I am here today because they don't know who I am. Hawajai niona. Hawajui because Nameless gave me money na nikaenda kwa jam. Yep. But how many impact have you made in people's lives that today ukidedi kuna mtu anapiganga magoti anasema, God, I don't know the name of that young man or that old man, but I am healing. I have na hiyo ndio mnatafutanga kwa pombe mwache kujifanya. Hiyo peace ndio mnatafutanga kwa pombe. When will we learn to give men the peace? Kukunywa pombe sio mbaya, but usikunywe because uko na depression, unakunywa because uko happy. And let me tell you this before I sit. Give alcohol to those who are perishing, are about to die and have given up in life. It's in the book of Revelation. So God bless you so much. My two questions are, when will you check on the men of clothes, and when will you learn to protect men so that they can be able to open up and heal? Thank you so much.
Simon Bevy, you can tell us. He said we check on our fathers. Imagine if you texted your father, I love you today. They will literally know a con man from committee is they want money. They want money.
So that we don't lose the energy on the questions.
Yes.
Let's answer each question first, because time is not on our side, and we need to wrap it up by 45 thereabouts. Gentlemen, you heard the question here. Let's answer it as we get the questions from the audience. Real quick.
Maybe just a quick one, and it's that was a nice story, isn't it? Guys, let's give him a clap one more time. Good story. I would say all of us, and I agree with you, whether it's a man of cloth or an old man in the village, we need 3 years. Affection, affirmation, and acceptance. And it's expressed differently. The way I tell my mother, I love you, may be by certain actions, not necessarily the word, or my father. But I need to show affection to them. I need to show acceptance, that I accept them even in their old age and what they are struggling with. And lastly, affirmation, just to tell them, I see what you're doing, and I see what you have done, and I'm happy with you, and I celebrate you for the things you have done. I tell my mother regularly, you raised me well, and I remind her things that she did, and that gives her joy. So I think we need to take care of each other even around those 3 years. Just Nameless, you coming to me and say, man, you're doing a good job with Man Enough. That in itself will do something to me. That's how we take care of each other as men. Guys, we need to realize if we don't stand together, as Martin Luther King Jr. said, we will die each one alone as fools. But we need each other. So just touch your brother next to you and say, I need you, man. And let's stand together, protect each other. For the men of a cloth, thankfully, Dr. Pete, at least there's a lot more happening among the men of a cloth. That we are able to form some groups and talk to one another. And I think there's positive things around that. That very few men of a cloth now walk alone. That many times we get together in small groups and we're beginning to talk. And that's a positive thing. Let's do that, men, wherever we are. 3 years.
Allow me to add this. When the man of God says, touch another man and say, whatever. We laughed it off. I need you, but very few looked at each other in the eye. I need you, I need you, I need you, I need you. Because in everything, even in our vulnerability, we are still trying to hide. You understand?
Pole.
You know?
Pole.
Is there a person called Hudson here? Hudson. Just stand up. I was told about this gentleman, and I want us to appreciate him. I was just told when we came here that this guy walked from very far and got to the gate. That's you, right? And said, I have no money. I have gone through hell and high water. I just want to be around men to get strength. So let's appreciate that man. For me, that's what it's all about. If he had the ego, he would not have come. I think what he has picked today, 20 years from today, the world will be thanking him. But something was birthed in him today. So let's help. There's a young man who tweeted on the NTV tweet and said, I have no money. How can I get a ticket? And I told him, inbox me your number. And I felt in my spirit, he's not a funny guy. I sent him the money to buy the ticket. And he actually came outside and says, I am the one who you send money. So men, young, old alike, are looking for help. All we got to do as men who have been before them is when they knock, open the door. We know of the gentleman who committed suicide a few years ago, Mark. And this guy one morning told his wife, I don't feel like going to work. And the wife says, I'll see you in the evening. He tells the watchman, buy some milk, and they have tea. And tells the watchman, I don't want any visitors. Gentlemen. In the evening, the wife cooked, went to knock on the door. Now nobody was opening, they broke down the door. The man was lying dead in his bed with a suicide note. He committed suicide because of debt of 4 million shillings. Less than 48 hours later, a company that owed him 7 million transferred money to his account. All that man needed was fellow men to buy him 2 extra days. Don't shut your door from somebody. Open that door. It may be the reason he will be alive 2 days from today.
Any other gentlemen want to respond to the question that was directed at us from the first question? Or we could actually move on to the next one. Yeah, let's move on to the next one. Your name?
My name is Karan Waweru. I have a comment and a question. The comment is just to re-emphasize what the doctor said about us going for checkups regularly. Men, you are okay until you're not okay. I would want you to remember that. I have a relative who just got diagnosed with high blood pressure recently. And this is a relative that has been okay, that checks their diet. But I realize I could see some habits that the doctor talked about, like having very little sleep. You know, in the village, they take like it's a good thing to sleep very late. In Kikuyu, they say, Konyi Hawaii. And then they wake up very early. It's like a crime again to sleep in the village. So some of these things that we do catch up with us later. That's my comment. This is the question, and any man of God in the panel can take it. In the church, sometimes we'll tell people it's good to pray, it's good to read the Bible, but without telling people exactly how to do it, nothing will change. And I've seen something changes when you tell them, for example, wake up in the morning, take a notebook, do A, B, C, D. You help people. But just telling them, read the Bible does not help. So this is my question. One of the pastors talked about vulnerability, and you said men to be vulnerable, that they need some people that they can confide in. Dr. Mungai talked about living deliberately. So I would want you to handle how can you be deliberate in the area of vulnerability? For example, is it me organizing a meeting with those men that I think I can confide in and ensuring that the meeting happens and driving the agenda? How can you be deliberate in being vulnerable? Otherwise, you'll just have told us to be vulnerable, but you haven't told us how to go about it.
Real quick.
Question.
Go for it. Because quick fire right now. There's another gentleman, Pia Kule Usimwache.
Yeah, I think it's about, as we said, it's about being deliberate. And I think, some time back I was struggling with that question about, yes, people are saying you need to be more closer to God. As an example. And I also told you that, the most important thing in terms of you quantifying your wealth is your relationship or your spirituality, let me put it that way. And the question was always, how do you achieve that? And I think there's something that we call plan of life. And plan of life is where you have 5 things, and in relation to your question about, spirituality. What are these 5 things that I need to do and consistently do them on a daily basis? It could be about reading the gospel or your Bible. It could be you having, kind of a mental prayer, It could also be, I'm Catholic, I actually can tell you I have 16 things that I have to do in a day. And I must make sure that I do those things, otherwise then I'll not probably see heaven, and that's my goal. So to me, is having that protocol that you operate on. Now when it comes to the question about vulnerability, yes, vulnerability you can discuss with people and you can let them know, of course trusted people. But I think there's one thing that really is understated. There's something we call journaling. Is where you sit with your thoughts and you download your fears, You download all that is going through your mind. It could be the positive things, the negative things. And I tell you, if you create only 10, 15 minutes each day to try and figure out those issues are troubling you, where do you see your opportunities, where is it that you want to go, and you journal those things consistently for, say, 21 days, it will transform you. And there's no doubt about that. Of course, there is that of looking for the, we call them breakfast club boys, boys club. You need your people. And I totally agree with, that it's not always that you become vulnerable to them. So you have to choose the right people. And you must be the one championing that vulnerability. Because guess what? When we sit as men, we just want to talk about the good things. We don't want to talk about how I was battered by my wife last night. But if you take that courage and you encourage people, let's share, it is going to happen. Thank you.
Yes, Pastor Simon, go for it.
I think it's just an emphasis of the clear steps. Number one, identify the men you want to be vulnerable with. Men you trust, men you've known, and say, we want to be in this group. Number two, agree that this is going to be about vulnerability. After you identified, meet together and agree. By the way, this is not a group just to talk about mambo ya juju. We want to get deep because there must be understanding so that I don't share my things and you're wondering, why am I sharing? We actually agreed this is going to get deep. Thirdly, meet regularly. Meet regularly and catch up. If you're meeting once a week or twice a week, then the probability of, or once every 2 weeks, or of catching up in life, this is what happened to me this week and last week, then you'll find over time you grow such close that you're able to pick up your phone and call that person because you've walked together and you have gotten closer.
Anto, I believe there's another question right behind you, or there's a gentleman right there. Kuna moja pala usimwache. Real quick.
Yes.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Dr. Tayo Pakunle, and thank you, panelists, for this discussion. I've really enjoyed it. So my question to you would be, what advice would you give to men aspiring to be fathers, and how has fatherhood transformed what it means to be a man?
Nameless.
I'll take this. The question before that was actually a very, very, very powerful question. Because if we really, really think about how we learn about life, someone will tell you, oh, let me ask a question. How many people, when you're growing up, kept being told, concentrate, concentrate, concentrate? How many people were told that by their parents, all of us basically, everyone was told to concentrate. I saw this somewhere where a guy said, how many were taught how to concentrate? That's when you begin to realize there's an issue between how someone teaches, right? And that's why I love the question there, because you'll be like, you'll say, be vulnerable, how? And the reason I'm talking about that, when the man asked about fatherhood and the things I learned from my children, I'll tell you, one thing I'll say is very important, that as you live your life, just know every moment you're either a student of life or you're a teacher of life. Everyone, because there's someone who is going to be influenced by what you think. Now, if you're thinking in the wrong way and you're a father, for example, maybe you have a problem in another tribe, and you tell your child that when they're too young, the high chance will begin to believe it and download it. So you realize that everyone has a big responsibility. I'll just answer one about a fatherhood, and I'll tell you why it was very powerful for me and how it's changing me. I kept telling one of my daughters, stand up for yourself, because she would come crying. So you what in the neighborhood, stand up for yourself. I kept saying that, and you could see she's struggling with that. Stand up for yourself. And I saw many years she's not being able to do that. Every time she would go to mommy to hug her and say, oh, what. And it was getting to me because I'm like, I didn't know what, but I'm like, she needs to stand up for herself, right? I don't want her to keep relying on her parents to just affirm her. But I didn't know what was going on. At that point, I realized I was being a student of life, or being a student of being a good father. So one day when I saw her coming from one of the houses and coming crying again, I decided this time I'm going to stop her from going to mom, right? And I was like, don't go to mom. You have to find a way to stand up for yourself. And she tries, you can see she's like, what do I do? I told her, either you go to the house, try find a way to stand up for yourself, or go back to that house you're crying about and stand up for yourself. She went in the house, I think she tried to think, then she came back. She's trying to go to the mom again. I stood up again, you know, blocked. So she's like, what do I do here? And then she asked me a very profound question. She asked me, I want to stand. This, I've been asking her this, telling her for like 3-4 years. And she told me, I want to stand up for myself. This is my 9-year-old daughter. But she told me, I don't know how. Do you get the point there? Do you get it? All of a sudden it hit me that we're told things, but we're not told how. That's why I like the question just before that. Forgive. 70? 7 times. The psychology behind forgiving is crazy. And people will think they're forgiving, but they're not forgiving. They're cheating themselves, they're forgiving. So, you're always going to realize that you don't know everything, and you have to try and learn correctly and also teach correctly. And every time you teach, even I love to mentor, because every time I'm trying to mentor, I have to think deeper about what am I going to say. Because if I say the wrong thing, it will influence the wrong way, right? If I don't learn properly, I'll take the wrong thing. The only reason there's tribalism, racism, all that is because a kid learned the wrong principle. The father taught the wrong principle, which he was taught by his father. So it's a job, once you take the job of fatherhood, it really begins to hit you that you are going to be a teacher of someone who is going to contribute to society. If you don't like anything that you see in society, because trust me, there are many things we complain about, then you begin to realize, wow, I have a kid. So now I really need to be a better student of life so that I understand the right principle. So you question and try to find out deeper. And then you must really dig deeper and keep checking how to teach. That's what I was telling you. It's not possible to try go through life. It's like driving somewhere you don't know and you're trying to find the answer yourself. It's just not possible. So when guys are not going to ask people who they think are deep, people who know the mind, because the mind, psychology is crazy. You believe the wrong thing, you're messed for life, because that's what you'll be telling yourself. You need to find someone who is good at that, to question them, to make them understand. Some have been trained, that's what I'm saying, counselors, psychologists, therapists, whatever it is. Those are going to be your teachers when it comes to the mind. You have to find someone who understands it better than you. You know? You have to know that even your father is not perfect. He could transfer the wrong information to you. I'm telling you. It's hard to realize that people older than you are not necessarily know everything. And then you begin to realize, I don't know everything, so I can't just teach without confirming what I'm saying. That's why rumors spread, propaganda, because you tell me something, I don't even deeply question it, I just go with it. So for me, how I grew as a father, I realized, oh my God, it hit me more. I need to understand better. I need to be a better student of life. So I kept reading, researching, talking to people so I'm better, and then transferring the right principle. Sometimes I'll make a mistake, and I grow from a mistake. So for me, I think that's how I've grown, and I don't know if you kind of understand that. We need to understand. You just be told something, don't just take it in. Ask deeper. I loved that. How? You tell me to be vulnerable. How? Then he's going to give an example. Then you start understanding the principle, and the guy who's telling you also starts understanding his principle deeper. So just remember the one thing, you're always either a student of life or a teacher of life in whatever you're going to be doing.
We have less than 10 minutes to wrap it up, and I know we'll be screening the next football game in the next few minutes, which starts at 7 o'clock. But there's a question there the gentleman in the half jacket has been asking, and another one. So straight question and one answer from the panel. Antonio Sol, the gentleman next to you.
Yes, sir.
Shoot the question, sir.
So thank you so much. And I want to pick from where Nameless stopped from. Nameless, you went same school with my uncle, who is doing something amazing stuff from Mombasa County. You did architecture. So yeye ndiye amekuwa chief architecture huko Mombasa County. I'm so proud of you. I have a lot of things to pick from you, and more so being a dad to daughters, rather, and rather girls. And we from men right now, sometimes life does not go the way we want life to go. Sometimes you find that sisi wanaume, and since we are in this forum, let's not just come here and say vitu zitakuwa hivi. At times you're going to have a beautiful wife in front of us, lakini ako na mtoto, na huo mtoto ni either kijana ama msichana. And that's the bone of contention, because shida imekuwa hapo for a very long time.
Kidogo naona huyu ni philosopher, sababu you need to decipher what he's saying. It's deep stuff. So just your question and then we wrap it.
I was heading to say this.
Hapo sawa.
Yes, I was heading now to say this.
Gonga ndipo.
Burare pia, mimi masuti niko nazo. Nimeziona kwa huu msi. Na ni leo tu nimevaa hivi. On Monday ukinipata, hata yeye Burare. So my question is, for us guys, by the way, I'm asking this by a very odd question. You're here, you're not fostering, you're a father foster kama Yesu, baba Yesu. Maisha yako itakuwa namna gani? Because you want the best for this kid, the best of this, you know. Niko hapa ku replace raising kids.
Yes.
That you're not your own.
Right.
Na hiyo tu, lakini Burare, Kongole, Nameless, pia Omanyala, Seconds, pia tuko sawa pia.
Tumeipata hiyo.
Hapo sawa.
We see what you're saying, bro.
So Mark, the question is that they were not your seconds, but now you have to raise the results of those 3 seconds by Omanyala. What do you do?
Well, to answer your question, if I got you right, I'm a foster child, and I've grown up to where I'm at because someone was there to take my hand. And there are many ways that people can foster. So if you're one of those parents who's taken up another child who's not necessarily directly from you, kudos to you. You can do it. It's been done. Nothing wrong with it, and hats off to you. But umetoa vitu angles tofauti hapo na kini philosophical tunakusikia. Burale siwe peke uko na suti.
We've got 3 final questions. 3 final
really
questions.
Quick.
Yeah, so.
Thank you very much. My name is Bosire Bogonko, and thank you for this opportunity. Yeah, my name is Bosire Bogonko. Thank you very much for this opportunity. I want to pose this question to all the gentlemen. I've had a discussion, and the biggest thing that I've not picked up from any of the points you've made is about self. Self. For me, I think every man must, first of all, live for themselves. Why? Because if you are not happy with yourself, you cannot be able to transmit that happiness to the people around you. We cannot be living for other people because that negates the whole essence of you as a man living. And living is about me first. Why? Because if I love myself, it means I can be able to spread that love to other people. If I can't take care of myself, I cannot take care of my child, or my wife, or my mother. So I want any of you gentlemen to just talk about the issue that, first of all, I need to be able to be comfortable in my singleness, in my aloneness. Yes, thank you very much. in my aloneness. And therefore, by being comfortable in that space, I can be able to promulgate that love, that unity to the other people. And I'll tell you why I'm talking about this. Because for me, I'm a loner. Just talk about myself. I'm a loner. I love myself. So when I tell my child, I love you, the child can feel that love because I love myself. I know what love is. If I hate myself, the first cause of action to the rest of the people who I don't know, forget about my parents or my children or my brothers, for the people I don't know, will be hate. Because I know hate because I hate myself. I appreciate hate because I hate myself. So I want any of you gentlemen just to address that issue because for me, I think as men, we need to start from the self first. Whatever we can be able to grow with ourselves, we can be able to push it on to the other community. Thank you very much.
I think every man will agree with me that you have already dealt with it. You have said it well, we have learned it. But the greatest thing a man can do for himself is understand his place of purpose. Because in your place of purpose, there's joy. Even when there's pain, as long as you're doing, like Mr. Omanyala here, I don't think sometimes you'd enjoy the many hours in the gym. But because he knows it's in line with his purpose, he will go through it because he knows there's a purpose ahead. So if, as a man, you understand your place of purpose, when God puts you to sleep to remove the rib, it's your place of purpose. As men, we are supposed to give. Even when we are off air, right?
Yes, we are.
Even when you make love to your wife, you release. You are used to giving. And then you sleep after that. You know, so we are used to giving. We give direction. Reverend Bevi said somebody gave words, and today he's a lawyer. So, in loving ourselves is being in the place of purpose. That's a sign of that you love yourself, that you know what you're supposed to do. Mr. Mark Masai is the host. He knows what he's supposed to do, and that's why this whole panel has gone well, this whole discussion. So you men, don't think that if you just sit and enjoy, then you're loving yourself. You may have all the money. You may have the affluence, the influence, but if you're not operating in your place of God-given purpose, you'll be the most unfulfilled man on the face of this earth.
Bosiri, I hope that was fulfilling. Really quick, and then the two last questions.
I would just add, and thank you, I think that was well said. And that's part of self-care, getting to know your purpose. And I talked about the 3 years, acceptance, affection, and affirmation. That begins with you in self-care, that you accept yourself, you affirm yourself, and that you, what is the third one? You affirm, accept, and you give yourself love. So self-care is important, but then it's not an end in itself, as you rightly said. As you do that, you find yourself giving, because then it comes back to you. So well said.
All right, next question.
Second last question.
Second last.
Okay, good evening, gentlemen. So my name is Kenneth Mbabu Gitonga. I come all the way from Embu. Actually, nimefika tu sai. I thought you guys had winded up, but I'm happy to see you guys are here. Secondly, Robert, thank you. Not thank you. Congratulations for your win. I don't think anyone has congratulated you yet. This guy won Best Corporate MC. Ama msham congratulate. Bado. Okay. Robert. Yeah. So now on to my point. I know all of you are winners. Omanyala naona ukiniangalia vibaya. But Robert was the latest win. So yeah. Now to my point. So I come from a family of, for lack of a better word, not so successful men. My dad sort of wasted his life, and he was a doctor. He never did anything for himself. He's worked all his years. He was a career man. Miaka yake yote alikuwa a career man, but he never did anything for himself. So me in class 5, this guy just left. Akaenda na sijaimwona tena. My brother, the same. He was in a very good career. He was a banker. Akacheza hivi kidogo. He wasted himself. He's 40 years. He's already committed suicide twice. Tried suicide. Attempted. Thank you. Come on, guys. Really? Not now. Really. Not the time. Yeah, so I'm 26. I'm ambitious. I know many of you mkiulizwa nafanya kazi gani mtasema ni gani. Let me try this real quick. Anto, you're near. What do you think I am? Profession?
An accountant.
Sir.
You look like a teacher.
Last one. Last one.
You're a lawyer. You're a lawyer.
MC.
So, MC. You guys, you won't believe it, but I'm a hawker back at home. Yeah. I just know how to dress well. Robert, thank you for the... Yeah. Again, Robert. Yeah, so I'm a hawker. I sell cakes and flavored cookies. I didn't have the cash, actually. I take care of my mom. Now that you know, my dad and my brother don't do anything. I'm the man at home. I was forced to get out of Nairobi, niende home nitunze madhe. So she's sick, she has diabetes. I won't get into too much details. But I didn't have any cash. So Robert, pesa nimechelewa because I was hustling money for today. I hustled around, I think 4,500 in like 2 hours. And then nikilipa nini. Nimebaki na transport ya kurudi, lakini msinihurumia. I don't want pity. Yeah. So for a guy who everyone in the family is, for lack of a better word, a loser, and you're the only one who's looking like you have ambition. You know, some of these things rub on you as men. Yeah, kitu inakurab to at the back of your mind subconsciously, you're like, kwani familia yetu nini mbaya, you know? Yeah, and then relatives wetu ni wa rich sana. I have a relative akona Range Rover, he has a BMW X6. You know, these guys are rich. Alafu our family ni kama the black sheep, eh? Yeah. They don't even know I exist. Walinijua nikiwa mdogo. So I think this one I'll address to Robert. Robert, I can see you on your phone. This is a bit serious. Yeah, so Robert, advise me. I know you've heard me. I know you've heard my story. For a family that every man is a loser and you're trying to use your knowledge to succeed into the world, how would you advise me? And then, I've done diploma in journalism. I've also done advertisements here and there. I've worked with some nice companies here and there. So you can see that I have that mentality, you know, the money mentality. Yeah, Robert, so kindly.
Thank you very much, and thank you for taking time to come. First and foremost, about journalism, I think you're in the best place. There are so many people you can talk to over here. An opportunity is here, you have to grab it. Time and chance happens to them all. And about the men in your family being rendered useless, if this story will help you, my grandfather had, I think, 16 wives. My grandmother was the first wife. All the men died, and before they died, they all divorced. When you come to a family, me, my big brother, did not divorce but died. My big sister did not divorce but died. My other sister is alive but has gone through divorce. I am alive but I've gone through divorce. My immediate follower did not marry but died. Our last born is alive but has gone through divorce. So you have to understand and look at the pattern. And then in your place of authority and purpose, you have to stand at the gates of your family and now declare some things, and stand at the gate and break some things in repentance, and stand there and start a new order in your family, because it is bloodline. You understand? When we had the story of former Moody Awori, His Excellency, I think when somebody was found guilty in their family, it was either 1 billion shillings fine or 57 years in prison. The story, I don't know how true it is, but I think it is, that they raised 1 billion in 28 minutes in their family WhatsApp group. You, if you look at your family WhatsApp group, what are you discussing? But then when I investigated further, his father in Canon Awori would walk around Busia with 2 things, a stick on one hand and a Bible in the other hand. When he finds kids out of school, he would beat them to go to school and then go to the marketplace, open the Bible, and preach the gospel of Jesus Christ. And then he went into a covenant with God that as I have done this, may my family never lack. That's why you see Moody Awori, former vice president, his other brother, top politician in Uganda, a sister, former owner of Makini, their 3rd generation, the immediate former MD of Absa Bank. Now he is the MD of EcoBank, overlooking 36 countries. Now, if there's an Awori to be born 5 years from today, he's already richer than all of us. But somebody somewhere stood at the gates and started an order. If you go to Kijabe, they don't sell alcohol or cigarettes. They don't have shops that sell alcohol. Why? Somebody stood at the gates of Kijabe and declared some things. And every man here has a responsibility, all of us, not that just gentlemen from Embu, all of us have a responsibility to stand at the gates of our family and declare some things, stop some things, block some things, and bring in, as you usher, a new order into your family. And sir, you coming here, I think you'll be around men. First and foremost, talk to these men of NTV. These are men, even if they don't give you a job, they will give you advice that will take you to your next level in journalism. And there is no dishonor in being a hawker. It is just a step towards your place of purpose.
Great words from Brale.
Last question, and then we get the last remarks from the panel.
Yeah. Good evening. My name is Marlon, and I'm grateful to be here. Mine necessarily is not a question. It's just a comment. And I'm grateful to Nation Media Group and Mark Masai for just allowing us to come here and fellowship together for this event called Man Cave. It is really inspiring. And what I just wanted to say is the ones that those gentlemen that are there on the panel, if you could just say, probably speak out to your mentorship programs, because probably some of us here have not even had part of your mentorship programs. And you know, I believe mentorship is a walking kind of stage. It's not just one-off, where we come here and we just speak and that's just it. It's something which we just need to work with each and every individual who is in here, right? So I feel probably if you could just mention a bit of your programs, and so that we probably can follow the people who want to follow, the ones who want to be educated, the ones who want to be mentored, the ones who want to get insights of what to do in this life and in their families, and to cater for them individually to go to where the place that they want to go and who they want to be. So it is just, for me, it's just a thank you. And let's continue with the same spirit, Mark. Continue making these forums, even not in these particular areas, different kind of areas where you can reach a lot of people necessarily so that they can get more educative and more everything.
Asante sana.
Thank you.
Gentlemen, I know there are other questions. We can't take them right now. I believe the panelists are not leaving immediately because some of them would also want to stick around for the game that we'll be showing in 5 minutes. I want to give them an opportunity to wrap it up. And I can't take credit for this. I'm just part of this movement, which I feel should be more often, more frequent, not just here in Nairobi, even to the counties, and not just annually, even quarterly, or even bi-monthly, if possible. And I'd like to appreciate the team, Clifford and the others, Phil, and even Bertha, a lady who was very critical in making this happen. A lot of effort went to this, and I appreciate them. And Phil will tell us better. I know there's a vote of thanks, but please, the panelists, your last word. I'll start with you, Dr. Pete.
Mark, before you end,
quick.
Also, in terms of final remarks, there's one of the things that a lot of men are asking. So I think each of the panelists can also give us an idea of where do we take Man Cave from here. How do we move this from just a conversation to, like Marlon said, a community? You know, I mean, even Philbert is, a lot of people are asking, so what, in your opinion, should we do after? Do we have a fund? Do we have a chama? How can we take this to a point where we now sustain the men who are here to also be able to stand where they cannot be able to stand?
All right. Let's start here with Dr. Pete Odera.
I think, thank you, gentlemen, for coming, for making the time. It's important for that, so I want to make it brief. I run a mentorship program. We're taking in young men, and we actually will take on women next year as well. Info@ixosinstitute.com. Info@ixosinstitute.com is where to go, and it'll be a blessing. I am available online as Dr. Pete on both Instagram and Facebook. You can find me there. To your question, I think that's something we need to think through and say what we want to do, because right now, this is the beginning. There seems to be some good momentum if people are coming all the way from Embu and wherever. I think it is important for us to then come back. We'll talk again and then see what can we do and then put it out. I think it's not good to be in too much of a hurry. But I think it's good that we think through and say what can be the most effective way to really bring this. It's a big gathering. Some people work better in small gatherings. So maybe we need to think that through. Thanks.
All right, thank you. For me, it's just, gentlemen, sometimes it's good to appreciate. There are some ladies who are involved in this thing. Batha has been really coordinating us. Let's appreciate those ladies led by Batha. And may God just bless you. My final words to each and every man here is a song that I love. I love you and you love me. I pray for you, you pray for me. I will not hurt you with the words of my mouth because we are part of one family. God bless.
Platforms to help other men?
Oh, I do the Men of Valor and the Naked Truth. You get me on Burale1, Instagram Burale1, Facebook Israel Robert Burale. Thank you.
Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to be part of this. I've learned a lot as much as I was here in the panel, but I've learned so many things that I didn't know before. And my last words will be, never be afraid to take risks. Never be afraid to do something different, because maybe that something different that you're afraid to do is what will make your destiny come to light. So don't be that kind of a person who will follow what your family is saying, what your family wants you to do. Don't be that kind of a person who will follow what your peers want you to do. Do something different. For me, different made me who I am today. Thank you.
You know, carrying on from where Manyara left, I think mine is very simple. We are getting in 2023, and I want us to make 2023 to be an exceptional year. How do we go about that? Please make sure you set some fantastic goals. Yes, I'm talking about goals, but please note they must be big, hairy, audacious goals. Cut them into small pieces. And what are the small pieces? Remember, your hours, whatever you do in an hour, shapes your day shapes your week shapes your month, and your month shapes your year, and your year shapes your life. So it's about having that big dream, break it down into smaller pieces, and operate on it every day. If you want to find me, you can find me at edwardmungai.com. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, guys. Just want to say two things. Number one, it doesn't matter what team you support, never walk alone. Even the strongest one of us is weak by themselves. Even the strongest one of us, you're weak by yourself. So may this brotherhood continue. May we lift up each other. When you lift up others, you go up with them. When you push someone down, you go down with them. So let's be brothers who raise up each other. I just want to say to the gentleman from Embu, I've written a little book about breaking those generational patterns, and I'll give you a copy, Gideon's Action, how to break those bondages. And for the man who came and didn't have money to get in, I want to give you this little book I've written, The 5 Commitments of a Real Man. So come and get yourself a copy.
Good stuff.
You can find me at S. Mbevi. And Man Enough is there. You're welcome to join Man Enough. We have online and in person, and also other programs of Transform Nations that you can find in our socials. Thank you and God bless you.
Let's give a moment for him to receive that gift. Asante sana, Pastor Simon Mbevi.
Pastor Simon, mnaweza face camera pale.
Camera over there.
Yeah. Good stuff.
There you go. No pressure, Nameless. Kama umekam na book unaweza peana.
Yo.
Ama hata blueprint ya how fulani umekuwa ukiweka hapo.
Yo, I'm writing a book, man.
We agreed that Nameless has to perform one song.
Hey.
Because I know it's not in the technical rider, but you can't walk in late and then you just leave us hanging. Sindio wanaume? You just perform one song.
DJ.
Coming home as we go home to our people.
So
Thank you, Nameless.
All right, Manze. First and foremost, I just want to say I'm so honored to be here. My love language, as I keep saying, is sharing and hoping that we can keep growing. For me, any conversation that helps us grow, I just love being in that space. I've been with amazing men here. One thing for sure I'll just say is the fact that you're here means that you know there's something you want more that you want to know. That's very powerful. So all I'll say is, all the men, I'll just say this, for sure, we all have blind spots. It's to find what those blind spots are, because blind spots are what make you keep doing the wrong thing over and over again. One statement I'll just say, and I use that to just check myself. You're clever when you learn from your mistakes. You're wise when you learn from other people's mistakes. You're foolish when you keep making the same mistakes. So the point is to try and be more, to many things that you do wiser, some things cleverer, and every so often you'll do something foolish because of blind spots. So I just want us to give ourselves a hand for coming out here and to find out our blind spots. Thanks, man.
Awesome.
So as they leave stage, and Nameless will give us this, because there's something they need to watch. I'd ask the gentleman to just
we're gonna let's first take photos of them first when they're on stage. So we're gonna ask you guys to stand, and also as we do that, we have some gifts for you here from Big Flex. So kama mtu ajui kunyoa burale, you know, you can help with grooming.
Dr. Peter anasema umesema photos mse.
Photos. Dr. Pete is just dissing me. By the way, Dr. Pete Odera is one of the best singers, male singers we ever had in this country. I don't know why we don't mention that enough. And thank you, Simon Bevy, for really being a father figure to a lot of us from Mavuno. So we're going to give you guys a kitu ya kunyoa hapo. And also, everyone in the crowd here, I can see we're already distributing them. You're all going to get a gift hamper courtesy of Big Flex. And
well done to Big Flex. Asante.
Asante sana. Please, round of applause for Big Flex, afadhali. And also we still have chocolates, we still have ice cream, we still have, I mean, there's so much to give away. So yeah, wacha wapige picha alafu, yes. A round of applause, please, for the inaugural teachers of the Man Cave 1. These are our teachers for the first Man Cave ever. And I know they've left a mark on all of us. Reminder to follow this conversation on social media is the hashtag It's a Man Affair. And also, please, if you have any ideas on how we can grow this brand, we can take it further, we will definitely be having, I believe Clifford will be having a number that we can join on WhatsApp, a community that we can be a part of. So let's watch something. And also for everyone who's going to stay on, we have a happy hour as we watch France versus Denmark. We're going to be doing that right here. Kuna happy hour. There's drinks on offer right here. So please make sure you also tune in for that. It's going to be great.
If we could start it again with the sound, because we need to hear what they're saying.